Hi, this is Christy from Back to the Bar. You've probably heard about GLP-1 weight loss medications and the side effects that can come with jumping in too fast. That's why I Love Noom makes getting started easy. Their microdose GLP-1 program begins with a smaller dose and gradually scales up based on how your body reacts. The Noom GLP-1 microdose program starts at $99 and is delivered to your door in 7 days. Start your microdose GLP-1 journey today at Noom.com. That's Noom.com. Noom, micro changes, big results. Average weight loss 8 pounds in first month. Meds and personalization based on clinical need and not available to all individuals. Medications are not reviewed by FDA for safety, efficacy, or quality. Pricing based on first month only.
This holiday, Verizon is giving you incredible gifts and savings you'll enjoy all year. When you switch, you'll get 4 new iPhone 17 Pros. No trade-in needed. That's right. Get 4 lines for just $25 a line and the amazing iPhone 17 Pro for everyone. Save big this holiday. Visit Verizon today. $20 monthly promo credits applied to account over 35 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply for phone offer. See Verizon.com for details.
Driving in a Honda Wonderland.
It's that time of year again. Happy Honda Days, where you can drive in a Honda Wonderland of your own with a great offer on a fun-to-drive new Accord, Civic, CR-V, or HR-V. For a limited time, well-qualified buyers can get a 3.99% APR on a 2025 Accord or a 2026 CR-V, a 4.99% APR on a 2026 Civic, or a 3.49% APR on a 2026 HR-V.
See dealer for financing details. Exclude Civic Si and Type R.
This holiday, Verizon is giving you incredible gifts and savings you'll enjoy all year. When you switch, you'll get 4 new iPhone 17 Pros. No trade-in needed. That's right. Get 4 lines for just $25 a line and the amazing iPhone 17 Pro for everyone. Save big this holiday. Visit Verizon today. $20 monthly promo credits applied to account over 35 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply for phone offer. See Verizon.com for details.
I'm done with subscriptions. Streaming, fitness, razors, vitamins. I've got subscriptions for everything in my life. They lock you in, and half the time, I can't figure out how to unsubscribe. That's why I'm so excited about the new Blue Apron. Now you can get delicious meals delivered with no subscription needed, including new pre-made options. Keep the flavor, ditch the subscription. Get 20% off your first 2 orders with code APRON20. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Hello, I'm Sarah, and welcome to the Whispering Woods After Dark. I have one story today. It's a really, really interesting one that I came across, and I hope you enjoy it. I'll get straight into it. Are you ready for the story? A late summer storm rages over the Ural Mountains. In the small hours of night, beneath flickering lightning, an elderly woman shuffles along a muddy path on the outskirts of Kushtim. 74-year-old Tamara Prosperina clutches her shawl against the rain. She can't shake an uncanny feeling that something has pulled her from bed, as if something is calling out to her in the darkness. Some say Tamara would later claim she felt a voice inside her head urging her toward the old village cemetery. Others recall that she followed the sound of a faint, pitiful cry, echoing from the woods near a water well. Drawn by either intuition or telepathic command, Tamara presses on through the downpour. A lantern's beam dances across headstones and dripping pine boughs, and then stops on a peculiar sight at her feet. There in a shallow hollow of sand and wet leaves, something stares back. It's small, astonishingly small, perhaps only 10 inches long. In the harsh white of a lightning flash, the figure's skin gleams grey-brown and hairless. A bulbous head with odd ridges and oversized eyes tilts upward, mouth opening and closing weakly. Tamara gasps. It looks like a baby, but not like any child she's ever seen. Trembling, she wraps the tiny being in her shawl. It makes a thin, squeaking noise, lips quivering, as if trying to form words. Thunder crashes as Tamara cradles the creature to her chest. "It's okay, little one," she whispers, voice lost in the wind. In that moment, the lonely pensioner believes fate has given her a miraculous gift. Child from the stars, or perhaps from the spirits of the forest. She will call him Alyoshenka. Festive is not the kind of place most ordinary people think of when they hear the word otherworldly. It's a modest industrial town in Russia's Chelyabinsk Oblast, about 1,700 kilometers east of Moscow. Tucked in the foothills of the Urals, the area was long known for its mines and factories, and for one secret. Decades before Tamara's discovery, in 1957, Festive suffered the Soviet Union's first major nuclear disaster. An explosion at the nearby Mayak plutonium plant unleashed radioactive fallout across the region. Locals still tell stories of mutant fish caught in contaminated lakes. Fish with no eyes or missing fins, grotesque products of radiation. By the summer of 1996, Festive and its surrounding villages were going through particularly hard times. The Soviet era had ended, and many, like Tamara, lived in poverty and isolation. Tamara herself resided in a tiny hamlet just outside Festive. She was a retiree, known to neighbours as a bit eccentric, but generally harmless. Life hadn't been kind to her. She grappled with mental health issues, later diagnosed as schizophrenia, and had endured personal loss. In fact, Alyoshenka was a pet name she knew well. Her only son, Alexei, Alyosha for short, was grown, and by 1996, sitting in prison for theft. Perhaps it's no surprise that when Tamara claimed she found a baby in the woods, the townsfolk assumed her loneliness had simply gotten the better of her. They imagined the poor woman had invented an infant, maybe a doll she spoke to fill the void of her son's absence. On that stormy night, Tamara became convinced that something very real had entered her life. Clutching the swaddled bundle she retrieved from the forest, she hurried back to her dimly lit cottage. Outside, rain battered the tin roof. Inside, the silence fell as Tamara peeled back the wet blanket. Two glossy eyes in a gaunt triangular face blinked slowly up at her. The creature was alive, but only just. Tamara's heart swelled with compassion and wonder. In her mind, there was no question what to do. She would care for this fragile being as if it were her own child. Over the following days, gossip spread around the hamlet that Tamara had a new house guest. Neighbours saw the old woman wandering the lanes with a bundle clutched to her chest. Cooing and talking softly to it, as if it were a real baby. She proudly called her charge Alyoshenka, a term of endearment meaning little Alexei, and insisted he was her son reborn. The locals chuckled and shook their heads. Some peeked curiously from behind curtains as Tamara shuffled by, whispering to the blanketed form. "She's gone crazy," they muttered. Poor Tamara is talking to a toy doll, thinking it's her boy. Few dared approach her directly. After all, she'd been acting strangely even before this. Now it seemed her delusions had simply taken a new, bizarre turn. Yet a handful of people did claim to glimpse Tamara's baby, and what they saw left them pale and wide-eyed. Tamara's closest friend, a woman also named Tamara, later described Alyoshenka as a tiny humanoid, about 20 to 25 centimeters tall, roughly the length of a newborn, but far more unnatural in appearance. His skin was hairless and brownish grey, almost mummified looking, even in life, with irregular dark patches. The head was disproportionately large and oddly shaped. One witness likened it to the shape of an onion or a bulb, with strange ridges running across it and meeting at the top, like the unopened petals of a flower bud. And those eyes, big, protruding eyes, as Tamara recalled, dominated the face, unblinking and shiny black. Alyoshenka's mouth was a small round O, bright red inside, which made faint movements as if it were trying to suckle or speak. But the sound that emerged was just a soft whimpering squeak, like a kitten or a weird mechanical toy. Tamara's daughter-in-law also had several encounters with the strange little being. She remembered watching in fascination as the old woman attempted to feed her adopted child. According to her, Tamara fed Alyoshenka with whatever soft food she had on hand, cottage cheese and condensed milk, gently spooning the mixture into the creature's tiny mouth. On one occasion, they offered the little one a sweet, and he reportedly licked it with evident curiosity. He looked sad, so sad, the daughter-in-law later recalled, describing how the creature's wide eyes seemed to gaze at them with an almost human sorrow. Seeing Alyoshenka stirred a deep pity and discomfort in her. It was as if she intuitively knew she was in the presence of something that should not exist. A living paradox that evoked equal measures of compassion and fear. Not all descriptions were consistent. Few accounts diverged. One local man, who bragged of seeing the creature, claimed Alyoshenka had patches of fuzzy hair and blue eyes, a detail others vehemently denied. Another neighbour insisted the being was completely hairless and ashen, like a withered fetus. Some swore the diminutive humanoid could stand upright on the bed for moments at a time, while others only ever saw it lying limp in Tamara's arms. The few points everyone agreed on were that Alyoshenka was alarmingly tiny, uncannily alien in looks, and not a normal human infant by any stretch. Even those sceptical of flying saucers couldn't help but remark that the creature looked like an alien, the classic grey-skinned, big-eyed visitor from another world. Tamara herself paid little mind to what the neighbours believed. In her reality, Alyoshenka was her baby, a helpless child entrusted to her care by forces unknown. She kept him swaddled in warm blankets in her modest apartment, singing lullabies and talking to him for hours. She claimed the creature would respond to her voice and soft coos, and would wrap his tiny malformed fingers around her knuckles. A weak grip, unmistakably alive. Strangely, the being hardly ever cried, like a human newborn would. It made no tears or loud wails. Only these faint squeaks and the occasional bubbling hiccup broke its silence. It was as if Alyoshenka knew to stay quiet, as if he were some timid woodland creature adapting to life in a human home. Tamara didn't even change diapers. There was no evidence the being produced waste like a normal baby. These peculiarities didn't discourage her. If anything, they convinced Tamara that Alyoshenka was special. Inevitably, the fragile equilibrium in Tamara's apartment could not last. Concerned neighbours, who had long thought she was mentally unstable, became alarmed by her new behaviour. She was knocking on doors at odd hours, frantically asking if anyone had medicine for her sick baby. The sight of the dishevelled grandmother pleading for infant remedies for an imaginary child was the final straw. Fearing for Tamara's health, and suspecting she might harm herself or others, the villagers contacted the authorities to intervene. One day an ambulance arrived at Tamara's home. The local doctor and a medic stepped in to find the old woman agitated and clutching a blanketed bundle to her chest. She protested fiercely as they gently tried to take her by the arms. "I can't leave him," Tamara cried. "He'll die without me." She pointed desperately at the wrap of blankets on the bed, insisting there was a living child there that needed her care. The medical personnel exchanged glances. To them, this was the pitiable delusions of a very sick mind. The paramedic later shrugged and admitted he simply did not believe the wild story of a mysterious creature baby. How could he? In his eyes, Tamara was an acute schizophrenic, nothing more. Ignoring her pleas, the responders escorted Tamara out of her home and into the ambulance. The door closed, muffling her sobs and shouts. As the vehicle drove off, Tamara pressed her face to the window, tearfully watching the doorway of her house recede. Inside, hidden in that cluttered apartment, Alyoshenka remained alone. The one person who had fed him, who had kept him alive, was gone, and nobody else in the village dared to go near the creature that most still refused to believe was real. Days passed. Tamara was confined to a psychiatric hospital for evaluation and treatment. Deprived of her constant care, Alyoshenka's already tenuous hold on life grew weaker. The tiny being lay swaddled and unattended in the apartment, growing dehydrated and hungry. Tamara's worst fear had come to pass. Without someone to feed him condensed milk or keep him warm, her adopted child could not survive. Sometime during those lonely days, the Kushtun dwarf, as some were already calling it, took its final breath and died from starvation. When Tamara's friend, Tamara, returned to the village, she later cursed herself for being away during the crisis. It was too late. Steeling herself, she entered the home to check on Alyoshenka, only to find a heartbreaking scene. The small creature's lifeless body, limp and cold, where it had been left. The sight was ghastly. the once living creature had rapidly deteriorated, his skin desiccating and features sunken until he looked like a tiny mummy. Overcome with emotion, she and another family friend took it upon themselves to tend to the remains. Unsure what else to do, they cleansed the strange corpse with alcohol and carefully dried it, effectively mummifying it to stave off decay. Perhaps they thought Tamara might return and still want a chance to bury her child. Or maybe they simply felt this was the dignified thing to do for a being so out of the ordinary. For a time, the preserved body of Alyoshenka remained hidden in Tamara's house. She was still hospitalized and inconsolable. She raved to the nurses that her baby needed her, that he was alone and hungry. No one believed her. They assumed Alyoshenka was a hallucination, a figment of her illness. Within the community, rumours churned about what truly happened. Some neighbours quietly admitted they had seen something odd in Tamara's arms and began spinning tales. Had it been an alien after all, a mutant baby born of the nuclear-scarred land? The next chapter arrived in the unlikeliest way. One of the men who had helped dry and wrap the body was by all accounts a ne'er-do-well with a criminal bent. Not long after Alyoshenka's death, this acquaintance got into trouble. He was arrested for stealing electrical cable, a petty crime common in those difficult years. Hoping for leniency, or perhaps simply out of desperation, the thief blurted out an astonishing confession to the police. He knew the location of a mummified alien. The officers, naturally, were sceptical, but curiosity got the better of them, and they followed the man to Tamara's now abandoned apartment. There he produced the small wrapped corpse of Alyoshenka. The strangest evidence anyone in Kushtim law enforcement had ever seen. Enter Officer Vladimir Bendlin, a detective with the local militia police. It was Bendlin who first took custody of the little corpse, and in doing so, plunged headlong into one of the most baffling cases of his career. By then, summer had turned to autumn. Under normal circumstances, a dried fetus found in a village would be a matter for coroners and perhaps a quiet burial. But Alyoshenka's appearance was anything but normal. Bendlin's superiors saw no upside in chasing little green men. They considered the whole affair nonsense and reportedly ordered Bendlin to give up this nonsense. But Bendlin was not so easily deterred. Possessing a keen sense of curiosity, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this story. Komsomolskaya Pravda, a prominent newspaper, would later dub him the Fox Mulder from the Urals for his refusal to let the alien angle die. With official interest minimal, Bendlin effectively became the self-appointed investigator of the Alyoshenka mystery. He took the mummified remains home for safekeeping, storing the tiny corpse in his refrigerator to prevent it from decomposing further. Bendlin reached out to anyone who might shed light on what Alyoshenka was. Local experts were consulted. A pathologist who examined the body came back with a startling opinion. In his view, this was not a human being at all. The odd proportions of the skull, the number of bones and their shape, it simply didn't match any known human deformity, he claimed. On the other hand, a gynecologist from a nearby town inspected the remains and asserted with equal confidence that it was a human, likely a prematurely born infant with severe birth defects. Benlin found himself in the middle of a scientific tug-of-war, with one expert essentially suggesting extraterrestrial origins, while another saw only a tragic, deformed baby. During this period, word of Alyoshenka spread beyond the Urals. It wasn't long before journalists descended on Kushtum. At least 2 Japanese media companies arrived to document the phenomenon. They filmed interviews with the locals who were happy to embellish their accounts for a bit of fame and a bit of cash, reports say. Reports say villagers took payments from reporters eager for sensational quotes. Video footage of Alyoshenka's mummified body was captured, providing the world with its first glimpses of this bizarre little corpse. The dried figure on camera indeed looked like something out of a science fiction film. A tiny, wizened humanoid with a misshapen head and empty eye sockets, scarcely larger than a human fetus, but alien in form. Benlin, determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, even contacted UFO researchers. A group of ufologists from the city of Kamensk-Uralsky expressed keen interest and offered to help analyse the specimen. Trusting their intentions, Benlin allowed these enthusiasts to take Alyoshenka's body for examination, a decision he would come to deeply regret. The UFO group took the mummy and left Kushtum, and never returned. They effectively vanished with the evidence, cutting off contact and taking Alyoshenka on a journey into obscurity. By the time Benlin realised he'd been duped, it was too late. The key to the whole riddle slipped through his fingers. In hindsight, the police investigator acknowledged that this was his critical mistake. He gave the Kushtum dwarf away to outsiders and lost control of the case. In the years that followed, journalists and scientists would hunt for any trace of Alyoshenka's remains, but to no avail. The little mummy had simply vanished. Some said that the whole thing was a cover-up. Perhaps the authorities, or even the military, confiscated it quietly to avoid embarrassment or panic. Others suspected the ufologists sold the specimen to a wealthy collector of oddities, meaning Alyoshenka might even today lie in a private vault or display cabinet somewhere, far from his home soil. With the body gone, all that remained were a few strands of hair-like fibre from the blankets, and some photographs and VHS tapes taken during the brief window when Alyoshenka was in human hands.
This holiday, Verizon is giving you incredible gifts and savings you'll enjoy all year. When you switch, you'll get 4 new iPhone 17 Pros, no trade-in needed. That's right, get 4 lines for just $25 a line and the amazing iPhone 17 Pro for everyone. Save big this holiday. Visit Verizon today. $20 monthly promo credits applied to account over 35 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply for phone offer. See Verizon.com for details.
Hi, this is Christy from Back to the Bar. You've probably heard about GLP-1 weight loss medications and the side effects that can come with jumping in too fast. That's why I Love Noom makes getting started easy. Their microdose GLP-1 program begins with a smaller dose and gradually scales up based on how your body reacts. The Noom GLP-1 microdose program starts at $99 and is delivered to your door in 7 days. Start your microdose GLP-1 journey today at Noom.com. That's Noom.com. Noom, micro changes, big results.
Average weight loss 8 pounds in first month. Meds and personalization based on clinical need and not available to all individuals. Medications are not reviewed by FDA for safety, efficacy, or quality. Pricing based on first month only.
I'd love to know what you think. Have a look, if you haven't, at the images of Alyoshenka. I mean, I don't know. I'm at a loss. I really am. I really, really am. It's just a shame that it went missing. Could have been a baby, could have been covered up, could have been an alien. I really don't know, but I thought it was a really interesting story. Well, that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed, and we will catch you again tomorrow. Take care, everyone.
This holiday, Verizon is giving you incredible gifts and savings you'll enjoy all year. When you switch, you'll get 4 new iPhone 17 Pros, no trade-in needed. That's right, get 4 lines for just $25 a line and the amazing iPhone 17 Pro for everyone. Save big this holiday. Visit Verizon today. $20 monthly promo credits applied to account over 35 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G and 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply for phone offer. See Verizon.com for details.
What does it mean to live a rich life? It means brave first leaps, tearful goodbyes, and everything in between. With over 100 years' experience navigating the ups and downs of the market and of life, your Edward Jones financial advisor will be there to help you move ahead with confidence. Because with all you've done to find your rich, we'll do all we can to help you keep enjoying it. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
The stories told on the Whispering Woods are inspired by historical records, witness reports, and local folklore. While every effort is made to research and represent events accurately, some details, names, and locations may differ from official accounts or have been changed out of respect for those involved. These episodes are created for storytelling and entertainment purposes and should not be considered definitive fact or investigative journalism.